Hey guys, welcome to the Avoiding Broke podcast with me, Jermaine.
Amelia.
And so guys, today we're going to talk to you a little bit about location in your property investing journey. So for investors, location, I think choice is really important both in the short term and also thinking about the long-term benefits that you can get.
Yeah.
So we just want to cover a few different ideas that may help you with your investing choices. Huh?
Yes. And one of those ideas that we may all be seeing is the move to working from home.
Mm-hmm.
So lots of people working from home at the minute, and I think it's a trend that started a while ago. And so what that may mean when you're thinking about location is some of those more traditional, say, areas that are near big office blocks and things like that may not actually be as attractive as they once were. That's what I'm kind of thinking about at the minute, because with working from home, you can kind of work from anywhere. We've seen that now.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've got to be careful about that generalisation though, which is that areas near big employers may not be as attractive. Look, I think, guys, we have to think and remember that things move in cycles. So whereas we might now be at this stage of the in our evolution where we are doing more home working, not going into the office, it won't be like that forever. And places that have got lots of industry, they evolve. They don't just stay static. So we should never just undervalue locations that were really high quality before. I think what we can see now, though, is that they may not be as attractive in the short term, but they may also give some deals. So it's balancing those two is my view on that, you know?
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point, getting the balance, because I think working from home plus also with people working in like the gig economy, you can work wherever you live and do those kind of things. So I think it is right. There's a balance there to be struck. Another thing that property investors may want to consider is actually, I think the current climate is a good way to think about those businesses that actually do well in all cycles. So when things are going really well, and also then when we're in tougher situations like now. So things that I'm thinking about now that have done really well are say like your grocery shopping, so your distribution centres there and your delivery centres, hospitals. I'm kind of trying to think of those employers that are always going to be there. And I think you always need healthcare, you always need your food, and there are going to be other things like utilities and stuff like that are always going to be there.
Yeah, so look, I agree, right, that there are some real staples. When you're actually investing, right, there are some real staple kind of industries that it's always appealing to have your property near. And like historically, like Leanne said, I think hospitals have done really well, universities. It's a bit harder to talk about things like supermarkets or food distributors or utilities to an extent. I've just not seen that kind of data. I'm sure there's something in it, but it's always worth paying attention, guys, to those traditional locations, but also thinking about the challenges that they face. So, for example, like universities right now, from what I understand, most unis are doing all of their lectures and things online. So, are we going to see the same model with universities that we saw before? Do those locations right near university still have the same benefit? Actually, I'm really not sure. No. I'm really unsure about that.
I'm unsure about it as well. And so, guys, you may have your own views on those things. But yeah, I think it is a bit unclear at the minute. What this may lead us to think about is that if you're considering location and you want to try and find the best location that you want to invest in, then you may be investing in somewhere that's not in your hometown, say.
Sure.
And so then you may want to consider management services, maybe more than you previously would if you were just looking at your local area.
Yeah, definitely agree with that.
So that's one thing that you may want to consider, is actually finding out about the types of services, the different prices, and what that then means for your numbers when you're looking to invest in property. But also it may mean that if you're going to look at areas that are further away, then do check out the local estate agents, because they could be a great insight into the local area and also help you to manage them.
Yeah, I mean, guys, the place I think, right, you get the edge when you're looking at these things is right now is a good chance to kind of broaden your horizons, right? So, look, to Leanne's point, if we are getting really in the detail about our long-term investing choices, things that are outside of the areas that we know start becoming a lot more attractive. The options that exist, they're going to start surfacing more. And the more you see disruption across the country, is the more you might look at areas that you hadn't considered before, but they may appear really attractive. And there are lots of different reasons for that, including things like government investment, volume of overseas investment. You're going to see migration of people. So loads of different factors that we can cover in future videos. But I 100% agree that you can see different areas popping up. And we should be open to that, and obviously management services could be important to that. And we can cover some of the goods and bads, but definitely keep your horizons open when you're thinking about location, is my view.
Yeah, me too. And I think that actually sums it up really nicely, actually, what you've just said, which is broaden your horizons and keep things open, which that's what it seems like you need to do with location, because as we've been seeing, things change over time. Locations that were once kind of really attractive may not be so attractive going forward. And so, have a good balance, broaden your horizons and keep things open.
Yeah, but I think though, guys, is still have a very, very clear strategy in mind. Because for me, part of the trick is you have a clear strategy, but you stick with it kind of quite flexibly. If you know that there are certain areas that you really like the underlying economics of, I don't think there's any real reason that you need to change it necessarily.
No.
You might look for different opportunities within those areas, but you don't need to change. If you know you're willing to take a slightly different type of risk, then you can continue to look broadly. And what we've said earlier is look broadly, but understand why somewhere could be appealing in the short term, but not necessarily in the long run.
Yes.
Or to your point, why places may have performed really well previously, but actually their long-term viability may be under a little bit more threat. So I think just having those kind of things in mind, and it's 100% what we do, right? We just try and keep flexible, whilst having a fairly clear view of what we're working to.
Yeah, it's so true, and I think that's why we need to keep talking about location and other factors, because things change.
Definitely.
And you have ideas, I have ideas, and then you kind of talking about them helps you kind of process things. And is this a good idea? Is it not?
Definitely. I think that, guys, what has been great for us as investors, and we should always step back and remember it, is that we have seen fairly stock kind of development in certain areas that have got proximity to big businesses, great transport links, hospitals, near universities. These are kind of some indicators of phenomenal areas that have delivered very good capital growth and have delivered consistent cash flow. So you should always have that as your base, right? So of those things, you should understand all of those things that I've just mentioned in pretty good detail, because when you've got that as the base, then you can start flexing. And I think that's when all the different things we're covering, you can start to assess how they impact your kind of stock level of understanding. Does that make sense?
It does. Definitely makes sense. And guys, what I would say is if any of those things that Jermaine has mentioned that you'd like us to do a video on, then just drop a comment below and we can definitely do that in future. Or anything else that you'd like us to cover on property or personal finance or careers advice, then just drop us a comment.
Definitely. But guys, what you'll see is that we are pivoting more towards making sure we're getting clear on what the investment landscape looks like. Because, it's really proving to be quite challenging for a lot of us right now. And to think about where you can get, what you can do in order to try to generate your returns, or even just safeguard your current position, is proving more and more difficult. So we're using this platform a lot more to kind of throw those ideas around. As Leanne says, any questions, comments, just leave them below.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I think that's a beautiful place to leave it.
Awesome.
So guys, thank you so much for joining us this week. We really appreciate you being here with us. Like we said, drop a comment. If you like the video, hit like and subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. And we will see you next week.
Definitely. Look forward to it, guys.
Bye, guys.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.